an idea how it's going to go this evening. We're going to have the invocation, pledge of allegiance, and we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping for South Rockdale, and we can go right into the forum. Tonight, just be sure you understand you can ask questions from the floor. I'll be working this side with one microphone, and John Hamlin will be working that side with a microphone, so don't be bashful about asking for a microphone. We'll have to work with you. And I can tell this microphone's not working too good, so we'll have one microphone here for the candidates. All right, if we could, Dan, Ray, could you give us the invocation?
Please stand. Bow your head. Well, gracious Almighty God, you've given us one of your greatest blessings, and that's the ability to rule ourselves in a civil manner. You've given us a way to elect our leaders without bloodshed, without war. Father, we praise your name and thank you for this opportunity we have to come. Father, thank the candidates, for those that have placed themselves out there and their families. We thank you, Lord, for giving them the abilities to do these things, to lead us. Father, we ask you to forgive us for our sins. In Jesus Christ's name.
Amen.
Yes, coming. Everybody stand. Tall, proud, shoulders back, hand over the heart. I pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get pushed off too quickly here, I think Ed, Tracy, do you have a comment to make?
Yeah.
Topic? We've got a couple of 3 minutes there.
Maybe not a lot of people know about this. I talked to the school superintendent yesterday, and he didn't even know about it. But there is Southern Poverty Law Center is putting out what seems to be, in most cases, false information about what's going to go on October 30th in our schools, middle schools around the country. And it's called Mixing It Up Day at lunch. And just the premise of that, I think people understand. They want all kids to go and at lunchtime, and they're putting it under the guise of bullying, anti-bullying, but really it's to promote in-your-face gay lifestyle with some light sexual acts and things like that to take place in the schools across the country. This has gone on in other states, it's been tolerated, but there's been a lot of pushback. And on the website, they actually, on www.tolerance.org, and I did a story today on my website about it with links and everything. I sent it to the state school superintendent and to our Rockdale County superintendent. And there are apparently some teachers in these schools that are trying to make this happen. But apparently Southern Poverty Law Center has put schools on there across the country that have never signed up for this. They've lied about it. The American Family Association today put out a story that said that half the schools they say are signed up aren't. We have 2 schools on the map that supposedly, at Memorial Middle and Davis Middle here in our area, that supposedly signed up for it, and the school superintendent is trying to get to the bottom of it and is supposed to let me know. You know, we have, a lot of us have discussed it. I've discussed it with some of the school board members, and they're not in favor of this. And you need to know if any of your kids are at Memorial or Davis Middle or any of the middle schools or high schools, whether or not your kids have heard anything about this. So I would say, before we make a leap or a jump, that the information that the Southern Poverty Law Center put out might be bogus. So it's just good to be informed, and for you to know from your kids or nieces, nephews, grandchildren what's going on. Contact the superintendent's office, let them know how you feel about it. They're not in favor of it, just so you know.
It's on.
Just as a follow-up there, I travel around quite a bit and I listen to different radio stations across the country. And one of the radio stations I picked up this past week, I was coming out of Augusta, and it was from Pacific Justice Institute, and it's about the law that's being going through California. Governor Jerry Brown's fully behind it and pushing it. It's SB 1172. And it's where through the school system at any age, they're going to be having classes under state law, that there will be promotion of relationships, same-sex relationships in the school systems. The sad part about this is that if you as a parent decide that you want your child to opt out or profess any dissatisfaction whatsoever, the state within that law that will be enacted in California will be able to take the child from your home immediately, and they can take it from the school, and it's a total forever removal of the child. It's basically kidnapping at school or kidnapping at your home. You'll never see your child again. You cannot profess any dissatisfaction with that law and its implementation. So what Ed is saying here is, in the lead lawyer for Pacific Justice is saying that they're going around the country and they're doing these little test balloons to see the test the communities that are kind of pushing back on it. So that's why here at South Rockdale Civic Station, we're not trying to be edgy about everything, but we do want to look over our fence and see what's coming, and we do want to be prepared for it. And the second and final thing is that the South Rockdale Civic Association Board of Directors had met recently, and we had passed a resolution, as I told you all at the last meeting, that we were not in favor of the Department of Natural Resources and the state taking and closing the access on Highway 155, transferring that opening to that park on Alexander Lake Road. I got some word today, it's kind of confirmed that Mr. Oden has gone and met Becky from the Department of Natural Resources, and they have rethought their decision since South Rockdale Civic Station passed that resolution and sent it forward to Henry County officials and all the Rockdale delegation and other parties so necessary. They've had a major change in heart on this issue. So again, we've done our job, we've done our part to protect our community. But it's easy not to look high enough to see the problems that are coming. We're not going to go looking for them. But if we hear thunder coming down the road, we're going to take our nose and look up and see what's happening and make sure we're happy with the results that we're going to get. At this time, I'd like to just take a moment to recognize our officials in-house. And I see one here is Mr. Nesbitt. Stand to be recognized. Like your outfit tonight. Very patriotic. Yes, sir.
Can I say one quick thing?
Go ahead.
First, I just want to say thank you to the South Rockdale Civic Association for allowing me to participate in all of your events over 4 years that I served as commissioner, and you all welcoming me with open arms each and every time I've come out here. I've been out here on several occasions and met with several of you all. Just want to say thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I would hope to bring the chairman with you next time if you would. We've been a long time since he's talked
I'm
about
responsible
Rockdale.
for the chairman. I'm responsible for Oz Nesbitt.
Well, we like playing football with you, so.
I'm here. I'm always here.
Okay. I mean, you gotta be a good sport. You're gonna play football, sometimes you get tackled, so that's the name of the game in politics.
It's all good. It's all good.
We've got a microphone going out, so I'll be changing that just shortly. Let me see, well, of course, we've got one gentleman here, Mr. Dan Ray Davis, he had vacations. He's our tax commissioner. I'm never going to forget recognizing our former fire chief, Tommy Morgan. Tommy, get up, get up. He's had a lot of dedication to gave our county for a long time. And any more past notables? Oh, there you go, there's one.
Judge.
Here comes the judge. And your name, sir? Rennie Horn. Rennie Horn. And we've got a gentleman sitting right here in front of you. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. You know, whether or not you aspire to someone's political aspirations or beliefs, you got to give it to them for the hard work. You cannot take a job with this county and say you didn't do a hard day's work. You're going to do that and a little bit more. So appreciate the years of service, sir. Thank you. Well, there's one sitting right beside you. He gave us a good lick there on the Board of Elections. Terry? There you go. Terry Bond. Past worker, South Rockdale Civic Association as well. And of course, on the back row, ever so silent in the corners, Mr. Arthur Vaughn. Many years of service to the state and South Rockdale Civic Association. This organization wouldn't be what it is today without leadership of Mr. Vaughn and many others. And did Elaine make it tonight? Elaine Nash? Okay, she was gonna try to make it. I guess they kind of cut their teeth here, there, and yonder and moved on to bigger tasks and projects. Pardon? Oh, well, I'm getting to it, I'm not that far over yet. I'm working that way. And of course, we've got Chris Vaughn back there with his daughter, and he's going to be on the forum tonight anyway, so they get more chance to look at it a little bit later. And is there anybody else here that I missed?
Well, we're on the forum.
Okay, yeah,
Tom.
on the forum.
You got Tom back there.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry, well, you hide behind here, I can't see it. There's Mr. Tom Harrison, thank you for joining us tonight. There are a lot of political functions to attend, and to come to one more, we appreciate it. This is the last and final program for South Rockdale Civic Association, our formal program. Next month, the third Tuesday will be our Thanksgiving dinner. You're more than welcome to come and share our fare with us. I don't think there's going to be any need for a program, just a relaxation, enjoyable tonight. If anybody can play an instrument, guitar, or some music, that'd be nice if you could bring that with you. Otherwise, without further ado, we'll turn it over just for a minute to Herb Parker. He's got a little bit of housekeeping for us. Pardon? Hey, he's on the program tonight.
Eric Levitt's here.
He's on the program. Oh, I'm sorry.
Eric's not on the program.
One second. Eric, go ahead and stand up there. And what position you running for, Eric? There you go. Loud and clear. All right.
All right, the South Rockdale Civic Association Nominating Committee has met. We have the selections for the year 2013. The nominating committee consisted of myself, Dan Passeur, and John Hammond. We have discussed and agreed upon the following nominated persons to serve as officers and directors of the South Rockdale Civic Association for the year 2013. They have been contacted and have agreed to serve if elected by the full membership of the South Rockdale Civic Association. For President, 2013, John Hammonds. Vice President, Don Myers. Second Vice President, Herbert Parker. For Secretary, Diana Robin. For Directors, Ed Tracy, Jim Roper, Dan Passeur, Eleanor Davis, Sandra Green, and Sandra Folsom.
Very good, thank you, Herb. We have an opening for a treasurer and also for one additional director. At this time, we will move to our November meeting. At that time, we actually vote on the slate of officers. We also take nominations from the floor. So if anybody decides they'd like to be a director for next year, or you'd like to take a position as a treasurer, according to the bylaws, you can certainly be nominated from the floor. We'd like to vote you in and have you join us. All right, at this time, we're going to turn the program, let's see, we're going to have Mr. George Levitt and Ms. Coggins come up. They'll be the first ones on the panel. What we're going to do is have the 2-minute opening by each candidate, and then we're going to have questions from the floor, and then we'll have the 2-minute closing for each candidate. So this is kind of interesting. I've been to many forums in Rockdale County, but I've never been to one where there's been one for such a race as the coroner. So this is the first for me. I don't know about you guys. All right, we'll let ladies go first. Joe, you can go ahead and do the opening, your opening remarks.
Hi, my name is Joe Coggins. I'm running for coroner for Rockdale County. I've been a deputy coroner with Rockdale for 14 years. I've lived in Rockdale County. Well, we moved here in 1970 when I graduated from high school, but I left for a little while and came back. My husband has a business here. My son's a sheriff deputy with the Rockdale County Sheriff's Department. He's a corporal. I work with George. We're deputies together. I enjoy my work very much. I look forward to the next 4 years. I'd like to be the coroner. Waited a while to try to get out to Boyle to retire, but he kept hanging on and hanging on. Now he's retired, and I wished he'd stay another 4, because he really was a good corner. That's about all. Y'all have heard me talk, several of you before, so I'll turn it over to George.
Well, I'm George Levitt Jr. I am a resident of Rockdale County, been a resident all of my life. Many of you know me from my family's business, Levitt Funeral Home, which we served this community for over 62 years. I've been a licensed funeral director for over 22 years. I've been on the with the coroner's office for 3 years as a deputy coroner. And my aspiration is to be your coroner, to just improve our coroner's office, which we have a very good coroner's office and it's working very well. But I look to enhance it and I look to make it a better coroner's office, a more visible coroner's office. So I'm George Levitt and I look to serve you for the next 4 years as your coroner.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start taking questions from the floor. Does anybody have any questions that they can ask of the two candidates up here? Right.
What would you do to improve the office of the coroner?
Talking to me?
Start with you, Joe, and then George.
Well, to improve the coroner's office, I don't know that you can improve it. We work for the law, by the law. So we do it very well, what we do. There are things I'd like to see happen. I would like to see eventually the coroner's office have an office that's not shared by the water department, so that you kind of in a private situation. It's kind of hard to be talking to someone about death and have everybody sitting around drinking coffee and laughing in the next room. So it'd be nice to have that, and maybe one day have our own morgue. We use the hospital's morgue right now, and they can only hold 4 people. If anything was to happen in Rockdale County, even just a bad wreck, that we had more than 4 people, we would have to call other counties to arrange places. So I would like to see that come about eventually. I know it's not going to happen anytime soon because finances, but it would be nice to have. Maybe get a raise for the deputies. If I was coroner, I'm going to work towards that, trying to get raises for everybody. Just little things, but we do our job and we do it well. 14 years worth, it hadn't changed in the 14 years, and here goes. We've not had any complaints.
I would improve the coroner's office based on the visibility, just as the gentleman stated earlier. There hasn't been a forum that he's been to where that the coroner's office has been invited. The reason being is many people don't know that the coroner is an elected position, and usually coroners stay behind the scenes. And I think that this county needs us to be more visible, just as medical examiners in other counties or coroners in other counties are very visible, and bring to this county more of an educational system about how we could better prevent deaths. I know we investigate deaths, but if we are educated on how we can live healthier lifestyles, we could prevent some of the deaths that we have in our county. Rockdale County is increasing in deaths every year because of the population. But I think if we could educate the people on how to live a healthier lifestyle, we could decrease those numbers of deaths and just becoming visible as far as giving information out and let people know that we're here. And she stated about the coroner's office. I think it's very vital that we have our own facility. She was saying if we had a major disaster, Rockdale County would have to depend on other counties to house our deceased. And I think that should be one of the first things that we look at as far as improving our coroner's office.
Okay, any more questions? We got one minute here. You have to reach in here.
I got a quick question. If whoever is elected, will you hire the other person as a deputy?
Definitely. Let me say, when we started, when we decided to run, we met out at the hospital, and that was the first thing that was said. If you win, I'm still gonna work. If I win, you're still gonna have a job. This is not one of those races where there's any animosity towards one another.
None whatsoever.
We've always been friends before, and we have decided to be friends afterwards.
We got a question back there. Can you get Jim with your microphone? Jim, they wanted to record.
Might be a little more volume.
Do we actually have a emergency mass casualty plan in place in Rockdale County, and when was it put in place, and does it need updated?
That plan was in place years ago. You know, as a matter of fact, part of our certification is to be trained in, we have to take a test. The first thing that I took was a test in mass destruction and things like that. So yes, Rockdale has it prepared and is ready.
It's a countywide thing, with the sheriff's department and all the EMS, it's all, and then with the state.
There is a extra question that will follow to Mr. Hill. They were just talking about spending some of your money if you get elected as chairman. So you might want to take that as a follow-up question when you go up to answer that for us. Where's the money going to be for this? Okay. Any other questions from the floor?
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. When you go out to a private home and have a death out there, the police are there. Who is in charge before that body can be moved? And do you have the medical experience to diagnose or whatever it is out there at that scene? Who is in charge?
Okay, we will share it. On the scene, we have, the body is our responsibility. The scene belongs to the sheriff's department. And we work together to determine. Now, at a private residence, they've already called an ambulance who have come out with equipment and checked the person to make sure there's no heartbeat and no breathing. So we get there, and we're usually the last ones called. So when we get there, it's already been confirmed there's been a death. And it's our job to determine what we need to do. Do we need to call a funeral home just to come get them? Let's say it's a 87-year-old and they've lived a long, healthy life. They don't need me, really, the coroner. They need the funeral home just to come get them and take them. We determine that. If we feel there's been some foul play, we determine they need an autopsy. If the sheriff's department believes there's been foul play, then we'll get an autopsy. But we do. As far as experience, we all have various experiences. He's worked in the funeral home business all his life, since he was this size. I have been in the medical field since 1976. I'm a retired paramedic. I work at Rockdale Medical Center. Worked there off and on for 30 years. One of the other deputies is a paramedic, and one of them is a police officer. So, yes, we take training every year, twice a year. So we're well versed in what we do. We know what we're doing. And we have a medical examiner that we can rely on at any given time, Dr. Gower. And so we call him if we have any questions or anything. He'll even come to us if we need him. So we're well covered, and not bragging, but we know what we're doing.
And the good thing, what she was saying about the scene, the police department knows, investigators know that they're investigating crimes normally. We're investigating death. So what happens is the body is our jurisdiction, and they are aware until we get on the scene and pronounce that person dead, that person is not legally dead. Although the medical staff has been out there, they run the strips and they told us, well, we got here at such and such time and the person was unresponsive. until the time that we declare that they are dead. That's when they are actually considered dead.
When you send them to a funeral home, if the family's not there or something like that, do you determine what funeral home to go?
No, we don't.
No.
If a family is not there, that body is transported to the morgue until family members can be reached.
Who determines cause of death and an autopsy is needed? Who and how is that performed?
We determine that. That's what we do. That's what our job is, to determine cause and manner of death. And we determine if they need an autopsy. And in the few minutes I got here, I can't sit and explain how we know all this, but it's the training we've had. A lot of it's law. We have strict laws we have to follow, and we follow those laws. And that's why when somebody will tell you, you may not want an autopsy done on your loved one, but if there's a question in our minds, they're going for an autopsy. And there's nothing you can do because that's the law. So that's how it's determined.
Also, when it comes to cause and manner of death, there are different causes. We may go in, and if it's a natural cause, if that person, normally while we're on the scene, we're contacting that individual's doctor to see what their medical history is. And if it's something related to their medical history, we determine that's natural cause. While we're there determining cause of death, we're looking for signs if there are pills around, or there are excessive pills. As the family reported, strange behavior. And from the evidence that we collect on the scene, that's how we determine if it's natural, if it's suicide, if it's homicide. And just like Ms. Coggins was saying, if we have any question, we have authority to call for an autopsy.
But does individuals at the scene sometimes may influence you on your decision?
No, sir.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Well, at this point, you both seem very qualified for the job. You two need to tell us what the differences are, like whether you could be better at the job for Rockdale County. That's going to be a tough one.
I can answer that real easy. He's black and I'm white. He's a man and I'm a woman. Other than that, I've done it longer, but he's been in the funeral home business all his life. So.
Okay, George.
We handle these type of things very cautiously because we are friends. But what I bring to the table for Rockdale County, as I've often said, is my experience in the funeral industry, being able to recognize causes of death. I've been in the funeral industry so long that when I come on the scene, a lot of times, many times at first look, I can determine what type of diseases that they may have had based on the conditions of the body. And I'm sure Ms. Coggins, with her medical experience, there's just certain things that you can identify. So my experience as a funeral director and my experience that I've learned as a coroner, I believe that it makes me very qualified. And not only my experience, but the ideas that I want to bring to the table for Rockdale County. I believe that I'm a very qualified candidate.
I'm the same way. I mean, the medical background, this is all I've ever done, is work in the medical background. And at the ER, they'll roll in the door on a stretcher. And I know already that they're gone. There's things you just know. You've done it so long, seen it so much, that you just know. And like he said, you just do it. 14 years of seeing it, day in and day out, day in and day out. You're qualified. I worked in the medical field for so long, since I was 25. 25. So you just...
When I was in mortuary school, they taught us the difference between funeral directors or embalmers and doctors. They said the difference between an embalmer or a funeral director and a doctor. Funeral director is trained how to destroy disease. Doctors are trained on how to treat disease, keep you alive. And in that training of how to destroy disease, they taught us how to recognize disease. You know, there have been times we've been on scenes of people who are deceased, and I was able to notice, okay, they have this disease, and that disease, and I said, well, how is it that you know that? Well, it's just the experience of being around it so long and familiarizing yourself. It's the same way with the medical examiners. They are trained on how to identify disease by looking at bodies, looking at the pupils, looking at the skin discoloration, and it's just becoming aware of what you're around.
Okay. So y'all two, Mr. Gibbs, I guess you're 1 minute closed because you've already used 2 minutes of it so far. And tell us who you're going to vote for.
I never disclose who I'm voting for.
Me either.
Coroner.
Well, that's easy. I'm voting for George Levitt Jr.
I'm voting for Joe Coggins. We're both good at what we do. It's just gonna be up to, like in any other election, whoever you want to have it will get it. So we'll be happy either way.
Oh, you want a response out of me? Oh, okay, okay. All right. Well, the coroner's position is one that I have thought about many years. Back in 1996, my daddy ran for the coroner's office. He ran against Dr. Boyle, and I think if he campaigned a little bit harder, he'd have won that position. And as a younger child, I had always wanted to do something like that. As a matter of fact, before I went to mortuary school, I thought about going to school to get into forensic science. You know, that's always been an aspiration. But the mortuary school called my name, and my dad was looking for somebody to take over the business, and so I just invested my time into the mortuary. And I think that I'd be a great candidate for Rockdale County.
It's been a very unusual situation. I've never been to a forum where 2 candidates like each other this much. I don't know about y'all. This is very refreshing for Rockdale. Thank you so much.
I would just like to say, we've got to go out. I already shared with him earlier that we had another appointment, so excuse us for leaving. We're not running out on you all. We just had something that we had previous engagement. God bless you. Thank you.